Hey, Bramalea Alliance Church family. It's so easy to get bogged down in all the things we can't do and the people we can't see and the places we can't go during this pandemic. It seems like there's a never-ending list of no's. And if you're like me, it's not hard to get stuck in the rabbit hole of negativity and fail to see the good in the pandemic. And yes, there is good in this pandemic if you look for it. So I want to share how God has been working in my life over the past year and a bit. Like many of you, the pandemic's been hard on me. The constantly changing rules, the multiple lockdowns, the isolation from everybody, the uncertainty, the disconnect from my church family. It's been even harder because I'm getting a crash course on how to live alone. And so it would be really easy for me to give in to all those negative feelings, but I've chosen not to. Trust me, I felt very alone during this pandemic. Some days, it's a fight to keep my head above water. And often, when I'm at my lowest moment, that's when God is at work in my life. Sometimes, God has placed my name on the mind of someone and I get an unexpected text or a phone call, or even an offer for a socially distanced visit. And every time it happens, it lifts my spirits, and I find the strength to continue. I'm amazed at how God can use someone in such a simple way to lift me up. His timing is incredible. It reminds me of how much He loves me, and that's a reminder that I need often. It's also been one of the ways that God has been teaching me to trust Him to provide what I need and when I need it. Another way that God has provided for me in the past year or so is that He's blessed me with some friends who have allowed me to be part of their bubble. It's been wonderful to be able to have people I can hang out with and hug and spend quality time with. And it offsets the loneliness and the depression when you can spend time with people who mean a lot to you. Last fall, as the weather turned colder, I knew that I had to figure out a way to remain sane for the winter. Isolation in good weather? That's not so bad. Isolation in the dead of winter is a whole other story. And so I began hiking. Almost every Saturday for the entire winter, no matter how cold it was, I went out on the trails. I'm fortunate to live in an area that has lots of trails so that I could abide by the stay-at-home orders. At first, hiking was an opportunity to just get out of the house, or some days, to drag my butt off the couch. But as the winter progressed, it became so much more than that. I began to refer to it as my natural therapy. There's something about being in the middle of a forest, surrounded by all that natural beauty, even in the dead of winter, that helps me reset myself, see God more clearly, and find the strength to face the upcoming week. Being in the middle of the sometimes dense forest with just the flora and fauna around me has given me a new appreciation for God's amazing creation. As I walk, I can feel the stress and the tension leaving me, and it's being replaced by peace. Hiking has now become a part of my regular routine. It's also provided me with an unexpected opportunity to have a visit with some friends who have reached out and want to join me on my hiking adventures. Again, God has provided me with some practical ways to combat the isolation and the loneliness. No longer do I have to force myself out of the house because it's given me something to look forward to every week. Another positive outcome of the pandemic is that it's brought me to you and here to Bramalea Alliance. Personal circumstances and the prompting of the Holy Spirit led me to leave my previous church and begin attending BAC last year. Now, you might think that leaving my longtime small church during a pandemic to attend a much larger church where I knew almost nobody may not seem like the best idea. But God made it clear that it was something I needed to do, and so I stepped out in a huge act of trust and followed His leading. The restrictions on how many people can attend church in person has made this transition easier and less overwhelming for me. I've become involved in the AV ministry, I've made some new friends, and I've begun to feel like BAC is my new church home. You guys are really good at welcoming newcomers, and it's for that one of those reasons that I decided to become a member last month. And then I've seen God working in some other ways as well. The slower pace of life has allowed me to deal with some really personal, difficult circumstances that I might not have been able to deal with if life had been normal. Over and over again, God has continued to provide me with what I need and when I need it. My faith has deepened. My trust in God has been strengthened. I recognize that I am firmly in God's grip, and there's nowhere else I'd want to be. In the midst of all the uncertainty and changes in my life, I have a sense of peace because God is in control of it all. I know that He loves me and He only wants the best for me. So I trust Him to lead me through what have been some of the most difficult days of my life. And I never would have made it this far without His love and provision in my life. Because I know what it's like to feel alone and isolated, I've also been trying to reach out to others. And sometimes I'm the one sending the text, or the phone call, or the email. And sometimes I get responses from people that say that that was exactly what they needed. They needed to hear from a friend that day. God has shown me the importance of leaning on each other as best as we can as we face this together. Leaning on my friends and family and God is how I've gotten this far. And I believe we can do this if we do it together. I'm one of those people where song lyrics mean a lot. And a song that continually plays over and over in my head is Faithful Now. It's a worship song that we've done here. And it describes the things I struggle with and reminds me that God is more powerful than my fear, my loneliness, a worldwide virus and pandemic, or anything else we might be facing. The link for the song will be in the video description, and I encourage you to take time to listen to the lyrics. I encourage you to be brave and vulnerable and reach out to someone to let you know that you're struggling. Or will you be the friend that reaches out first to let someone know that they're not alone? Hold on tight to the belief and the trust that God is in control of everything. Psalm 121, 1 and 2 says, I lift my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. You're not alone. God is there. He's working in your life, and He loves you. This pandemic has been very difficult, but I challenge you, find the positives, focus on those. Take a look to see where God has been working in your life. Keep an eye open for opportunities to bless someone in an expected way. And as I was preparing this Connect and Reflect, I was surprised to see how God had been working in my life over the past year. I'm willing to bet you can find those moments too.